For decades, we have been told that lithium is the only path forward, the white gold of the 21st century. But what if the secret to a more resilient, more equitable future has been sitting on your dinner table all along, hidden in the simple structure of common salt? Today, we stand at the edge of a fundamental shift in how humanity stores power, moving away from the fragile and the rare toward the abundant and the overlooked. Before we dive into the deep chemistry and the high-stakes geopolitics of the sodium-ion revolution, take a moment to consider how much of our world depends on things we cannot easily replace. If you find this exploration of the future of energy valuable, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and join our community of thinkers who look beyond the surface of global transitions. The story of the battery is the story of modern civilization, a constant struggle to pack more energy into smaller spaces. We have lived through the era of lead acid and the reign of lithium-ion, but the limitations of our current path are becoming impossible to ignore. Lithium-ion batteries follow a specific working principle, where ions dance between two electrodes to store and release energy. Sodium-ion batteries follow this exact same logic, using the movement of ions to keep our world running. However, there is a physical reality that changes everything. The sodium ion is significantly larger than the lithium ion. This difference in size might seem like a minor detail in a laboratory, but in the real world, it reshapes the entire trade space of technology and economics. We must ask ourselves why sodium ion is even on the table today when lithium has been the undisputed king for so long. The answer lies in the fundamentals of our planet's crust and the complex web of global trade. Sodium is incredibly abundant, found in vast quantities in every corner of the globe, primarily in the form of salt from our oceans. Unlike lithium, which is concentrated in a few specific regions, sodium is regionally available to almost every nation on Earth. This means that moving toward sodium ion isn't just a technical choice. It is a move toward a less exposed and more resilient supply chain. By embracing the common, we reduce the geopolitical supply risks that have turned energy into a weapon of diplomacy and conflict. If the rest of the system cooperates, sodium ion opens the door to a cheaper and more stable future for everyone. Yet, as with any great advancement, this chemistry brings its own heavy baggage that cannot be ignored. The larger size of the sodium ion isn't just a physical curiosity. It creates real technical penalties that engineers have struggled to overcome for years. Because the ions are bigger, they cannot pack as tightly, which directly reduces the energy density of the battery. This is the primary reason why sodium ion has historically been seen as an underdog, especially in the world of electric vehicles where every kilogram of weight matters. When energy density is low, a vehicle must carry more batteries to go the same distance, which hurts the very efficiency we are trying to achieve. Beyond the weight, there is the issue of internal resistance within the battery cell itself. Larger ions move more slowly through the electrolyte and the cathode structure, which increases resistance and generates excess heat. Efficiency is lost as energy is converted into warmth rather than work, requiring more robust cooling systems that add even more weight and cost. We also see significant voltage instability during the discharge cycle, a problem that complicates the design of power electronics. As the voltage drops unevenly, the system is forced to draw higher currents to maintain performance, which increases losses across the board. These are not just theoretical concerns discussed in academic journals. They are obstacles that show up clearly in every real-world test of early sodium-ion prototypes. There's a common misconception that cheap raw materials automatically lead to cheap batteries, but the reality of manufacturing is far more complex. Cell cost is dominated by the harsh realities of the factory floor, not just the price of the ingredients on the label. To build a battery, you need massive facilities, expensive solvents, energy-intensive drying steps, and safety systems that prevent fires and failures. Even if the sodium itself is nearly free, yield losses during production can quickly erase any material advantages. A study from Stanford University highlighted this exact point, showing that sodium-ion cells often cost more than lithium iron phosphate, or LFP, despite their cheaper ingredients. This reveals that the real bottleneck isn't the chemistry of the ion, but the process of turning that chemistry into a finished product. To understand the future of this technology, we must look at the cathode, which serves as the primary economic and technical lever of the battery. The cathode dictates almost everything that matters to the end user: the voltage behavior, the overall efficiency, and how easy the battery is to manufacture. The key question for the industry has shifted from asking if sodium is cheap to asking if it can use the same high-yield processes that made LFP so successful. LFP became the global standard because it was reliable and could be produced at a massive scale with relatively low complexity. If sodium-ion cannot align with those same manufacturing standards, it will remain a laboratory curiosity, stuck outside the world of mass scaling. In the early days of this transition, engineers leaned on a material known as Prussian white to bridge the gap. Prussian white cathodes were attractive because they offered relatively flat voltage curves, making them easier for electronics to manage. More importantly, they were compatible with water-based electrode processing, which is much safer and cheaper than using toxic solvents. This compatibility made Prussian white an easy fit for existing LFP production lines, allowing companies to experiment without building entirely new factories. However, this bridge came with a significant cost in the form of a ceiling on energy density. While Prussian white proved that sodium-ion could work, its limited capacity meant it could never truly compete in the mainstream electric vehicle market. This brings us to the importance of layered oxides, the materials that promise to unlock the true potential of sodium-ion. Layered oxide cathodes are the key to higher energy density, offering the hope that sodium-ion vehicles could one day match the range of their lithium counterparts. On paper, these materials look like the perfect solution, but they have historically suffered from a steep voltage drop during use. Furthermore, they traditionally required expensive, solvent-heavy manufacturing processes that are difficult to scale. These constraints have acted as a blockade, preventing layered oxides from moving out of the research phase and into the high-speed production lines of the world. The real breakthrough came with the development of reinforced cathodes, specifically those using elements like antimony to stabilize the structure. By reinforcing the layered oxide cathode, researchers were able to target the manufacturing pain directly, rather than just focusing on the energy specs. This innovation made the material water-resistant, which is a massive leap forward for the entire industry. Being water-resistant means that manufacturers can finally use the same water-based slurry processes that have made LFP production so cost-effective. X-ray diffraction data, or XRD, has confirmed that these reinforced cathodes maintain their structural stability even after being exposed to water. This is the moment where a subtle tweak in chemistry becomes a massive unlock for the global factory system. With the arrival of manufacturable layered oxides, we are entering the era of second-generation sodium-ion technology. This is the point where sodium moves from being a mere demonstration of science to a core part of a global industrial strategy. We are seeing energy density climb steadily toward LFP territory, closing the gap that once seemed insurmountable. As voltage behavior improves, the system losses that once plagued sodium-ion are beginning to shrink, making the entire vehicle more efficient. When you combine these cathode advancements with new self-forming anodes and the power of massive scale, the landscape changes. Sodium-ion is no longer just a budget option. It becomes a viable choice for cold-weather vehicles, heavy trucks, and massive grid storage systems. Think about the implications for someone living in a cold climate, where lithium-ion batteries often lose half their range in the dead of winter. Sodium-ion performs remarkably well in low temperatures, maintaining its ability to provide power when other batteries falter. This makes it a perfect fit for markets in Northern Europe, North America, and Northern Asia, where reliability in the cold is a matter of survival. For the trucking industry, where the cost of the battery can determine the profitability of a route, the lower price floor of sodium-ion is a game-changer. Even for the power grid, which needs to store solar and wind energy for use at night, sodium-ion offers a way to build massive storage farms without depleting the world's lithium supply. We are approaching a tipping point where sodium-ion will reliably drop below critical cost thresholds. When that happens, new markets will open with a speed that will catch many by surprise. Lithium will remain an essential part of our high-performance future, especially for long-range luxury vehicles and high-end electronics. But sodium is set to become the default choice for everything else, wherever price, robustness, and supply security are the most important factors. The reinforced cathode doesn't guarantee an overnight victory, but it does something much more important. It aligns the chemistry with the reality of the factory. And in the world of global industry, that alignment is exactly how real transitions begin. The shift toward sodium-ion is a reminder that the most sophisticated solution isn't always the one that uses the rarest materials. Sometimes the most sophisticated solution is the one that is the most democratic, the one that can be built by anyone, anywhere. As we look toward the year 2030, we see a world that is less dependent on the whims of a few mining conglomerates. We see a world where the energy transition is no longer a luxury for the wealthy, but a standard for the many. This is the quiet power of sodium, a common element that is finally ready to take its place on the global stage. It is a story of human ingenuity, finding a way to work with nature rather than trying to conquer it. Reflecting on this journey, there is a profound lesson we can apply to our own lives and the way we face challenges. We often spend our time searching for the perfect solution, the rare and high-performance option that we think will solve all our problems. We look for the lithium in our careers, our relationships, and our personal growth, believing that only the most elite resources will suffice. But the story of sodium-ion teaches us that resilience often comes from embracing what is abundant and available. It reminds us that with the right reinforcement, even the most common materials can achieve extraordinary results. Sometimes the bottleneck in our lives isn't a lack of talent or resources, but a lack of a better process to utilize what we already have. In your own life, I encourage you to look at the sodium you have ignored because it seemed too ordinary or too difficult to work with. Is there a skill you've overlooked, a connection you've undervalued, or a simple habit that could be the key to your next big breakthrough? Just as the reinforced cathode turned a manufacturing hurdle into a strategic advantage, you too can find ways to align your strengths with the practical realities of your goals. The future belongs to those who can find stability in the common and build strength through resilience. It is not about having the most. It is about making the most of what you have. As we conclude this deep dive into the world of sodium-ion, I want to leave you with a question to consider. If the world successfully transitions to a sodium-based energy economy, how do you think that will change the balance of power between nations? Will it truly lead to a more peaceful world, or will we find new things to compete over? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments below, as your insights always help broaden our collective understanding. Thank you for spending this time with me and for being part of this journey into the future of technology and human potential. I wish you and your loved ones great health, clarity of mind, and the courage to pursue your own innovations. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay informed about the shifts that are shaping our world, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Every subscriber helps us continue to produce this kind of deep dive content and keeps the conversation going. Until next time, keep looking for the extraordinary in the ordinary and never stop questioning the world around you. This is a journey we are all on together, and the best is yet to come. Take care, and I will see you in the next exploration of the forces that move our world.